issues that I've been focused on for quite a while is that we still have a very long way to go as women to earn full equality in this country. Now, women make up more than half of the college graduates and more than half of the women with advanced degrees in this country. But women still are earning only 78 cents on the dollar. If you're an African American woman, you're earning 71 cents on a dollar. And if you are a Latina, only 62 cents on that dollar earned by men. Women, however, make up 51% of the population, but we still only hold 17% of the seats in Congress and only 6 governorships. Less than 3% of the CEOs in Fortune 500 companies are women, and only 16% are on Fortune 500 corporate boards. So what do we do? What will each woman in this room do to change that, to make the difference, to empower women to take their rightful place in decision-making in this country today? Now, there was an icon during World War II. Do you remember Rosie the Riveter? She was this advertising campaign, an image of a woman. She was wearing a red kerchief, yellow background, her sleeves rolled up, and the slogan was, "We can do it." And the purpose of that advertising campaign was because the economy was suffering. They needed women to leave the home and enter the workforce for the first time in America. First in riveting and the war industries, but then overall. Within 14 months, 2 million women entered the workforce. By the end of World War II, 6 million women entered the workforce, forever changing the landscape of the economy for America. So we need that same call to action for this generation. The invitation, we need you, and the statement that you can do it, that you can actually make the difference. Because if we are going to out-innovate, out-educate, out-compete other countries, as President Obama has aimed to do, it will be only if women are leading the way. I remember as a young lawyer when I was working here in New York City, Hillary Clinton gave that very important speech in China. If you remember, she said, "Women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights." It was such an important call to action for global activism, and one that made such a difference to me at that moment. Because for her to make that statement at that place, at that time, to that audience, I thought was transformational. And what it led me to do is say, what am I doing in my life? Why aren't I standing on that stage in China calling for women's rights? Why aren't I making a difference? I was just a young lawyer in a big law firm. But what it did is it spurred me action, and I decided I wanted to make a difference. Now, I was lucky. I had a role model growing up in upstate New York. My role model was my grandmother. And some 75 years ago, she got involved in politics because she wanted to have a say in local elections, local agendas, and who was going to put forward which priorities in political life. And she did 2 things. First, she made sure her voice was heard, and second, she made sure the voices of other women were heard. She organized women for the next 2 generations, and those women did the nuts and bolts of campaigns, door-to-door, envelope stuffing, phone banking, transformational. But what I learned from her was the lesson that women's voices matter, that what you do with your time matters, and that grassroots activism can actually make a difference.